Logan Hayes had seen his fair share of chaos in the military. He'd served in some of the harshest war zones the world had to offer. But nothing could have prepared him for the scene he stumbled upon outside Lincoln Middle School that Friday afternoon. He had just clocked out from his shift at the local hardware store, the sun dipping low on the horizon, casting golden rays across the school parking lot. As he pulled in to pick up his 12-year-old son, Tyler, his attention was caught by a commotion near the edge of the playground. A group of boys, loud, aggressive, and clearly up to no good, had surrounded a girl. Her backpack had been tossed to the ground, books scattered in the dirt, and one of the boys shoved her hard enough to send her stumbling. Logan didn't hesitate. The soldier in him reacted before the father had time to reason. Slamming his truck door, he marched across the pavement with calm, purposeful strides, voice sharp as a whistle. "Hey! Knock it off," he bellowed. The boys froze, their bravado vanishing in the face of his commanding presence. One mumbled something under his breath and they all ran, leaving the girl blinking back tears and brushing off her scraped hands. Logan knelt beside her, picking up her torn notebook. "You okay?" he asked. The girl sniffled but stood tall, defiance in her eyes. "I didn't need saving," she muttered. Logan smiled. "Didn't say you did. Just figured I'd even the odds a little." He handed her the notebook, his tone gentle now. "I'm Logan. My son goes here too." She looked him over warily before muttering, "Aria. Aria Grant." He helped gather her things, impressed by the strength she tried to hide beneath her tough front. Something about her reminded him of the soldiers he used to serve with, proud, independent, and hiding their pain. As she walked away without another word, Logan had no idea who she really was, or how that brief encounter would change everything in the days to come. He only knew one thing for sure: no one deserved to be treated like that, and he'd be damned if he ever stood by and watched it happen. By Monday morning, the story of the mystery dad who stopped a fight had become the talk of Lincoln Middle School. Some students exaggerated the tale, saying he was a secret agent or an off-duty cop. Others claimed he lifted one of the bullies off the ground with one hand. Logan Hayes, however, didn't think twice about it. He went about his morning like usual, packing Tyler's lunch, sipping lukewarm coffee, and fixing a leaky faucet at the hardware store. So when his phone rang with a call from the school, his heart skipped a beat. He half expected to be reprimanded for overstepping boundaries or getting involved in a situation that wasn't his business. But what he walked into at the school office was something entirely unexpected. Principal Lewis greeted him with a polite smile, but there was tension in the room. Standing by the window was a tall, commanding figure in full military dress blues. Logan's eyes immediately landed on the chest full of medals, and the hard stare of a man who had seen war. "Mr. Hayes, thank you for coming in," the principal began. "This is Major General Jacob Grant." Logan stood straighter out of habit, his military instincts still sharp. "Sir," he nodded. The general stepped forward and extended a firm hand. "You're the man who helped my daughter, Aria, last Friday?" Logan shook his hand, cautiously replying, "Yes, sir. I didn't know she was your daughter. I just saw a kid getting pushed around." General Grant's hardened expression shifted slightly, a flicker of gratitude breaking through. "Aria told me what happened. She doesn't often ask for help, so the fact that she mentioned you at all meant something. She said you didn't treat her like a victim." Logan's brows furrowed. "She's not. She's tough. Just needed backup." There was a long pause before the general nodded slowly. "I respect that. Too many people try to rescue her without understanding who she is. You gave her dignity." As Logan walked out of the school office, his head was spinning. He had no intention of making an impression, but somehow, his simple act of stepping in had drawn the attention of one of the highest-ranking men in the military, and, unknowingly, opened a door into a world he hadn't planned to enter again. In the weeks that followed the meeting at the school, Logan began to notice Aria Grant more often. She wasn't just another student anymore, she was showing up at local events, quietly helping out at the school fundraiser, and sometimes waiting with Tyler after school. At first, Logan assumed it was coincidence. But soon, it became clear Aria was seeking something she didn't quite know how to ask for: connection. Logan, being no stranger to guarded hearts, recognized the signs. Tyler took to her quickly, cracking jokes and showing her his latest video game tricks. Logan kept his distance, letting their friendship grow naturally, until one rainy afternoon when Aria showed up at their doorstep, soaked through, her voice barely above a whisper. "I forgot my umbrella, and Dad's in DC again." Logan handed her a towel and didn't ask questions. That night, over grilled cheese and soup, the walls she built around herself began to show cracks. She told them about her mother, who had died when she was 8, and the quiet loneliness of being a general's daughter. Her father, though powerful and respected, was a man of duty before affection. Aria had grown up in a house of silence, moving base to base, rarely staying long enough to call anywhere home. "He protects the country," she said flatly. "But no one protects me." Logan understood more than she realized. His wife, Emily, had died during his last deployment. He had come home a widower, struggling to raise a son without a manual. He'd traded battlefield strategies for school lunches and bedtime stories, always afraid he was failing. As Aria sat in his living room, wrapped in a warm blanket, something clicked. Two wounded hearts, both shaped by loss and longing, had stumbled into the same space. That evening, Tyler whispered, "She should come over more, Dad. She looks happy here." Logan nodded but kept his thoughts guarded. He didn't want to intrude on another man's family, especially not one decorated with stars and salutes. But Aria wasn't just a general's daughter, she was a kid who needed to be seen, heard, and safe. And whether he meant to or not, Logan was becoming the kind of man she could finally trust. The Veterans Day Assembly at Lincoln Middle School was an annual tradition, but this year, it carried deeper meaning for Logan Hayes. Sitting in the back row of the auditorium, dressed in his neatly pressed but worn army jacket, Logan had come to support his son Tyler. He hadn't expected to see Aria step onto the stage beside him, holding a folded sheet of paper in her trembling hands. Dressed in a simple navy dress, she stood tall under the spotlight, her eyes scanning the crowd, pausing just briefly when they met Logan's. Then she began to speak, her voice clear but heavy with emotion. "Most people know my dad as Major General Grant," she said. "He's earned medals, titles, and honors for his service to this country. But the person I want to talk about today doesn't have a uniform anymore. He doesn't wear stars. He doesn't command troops. He's just a dad who saw someone in trouble and didn't look away." Logan froze in his seat. His chest tightened as Aria continued, telling the story of that afternoon in the schoolyard. But it wasn't just about the bullies. She spoke of kindness, of consistency, of grilled cheese and warm blankets on cold days. She spoke of someone who didn't ask questions but showed up, someone who made her feel safe without making her feel small. "That man is Logan Hayes," she said finally, her voice quivering. "And he's my hero, too." The auditorium erupted into applause, but Logan sat still, overwhelmed. He had never looked for recognition, only to do what felt right. Yet now, he was being honored in a way he never expected, by the very child whose world he had unknowingly stepped into. After the assembly, General Grant approached him outside beneath the school's flagpole. "I've spent years protecting this country, Logan," he said quietly. "But somehow, you managed to protect the one thing I didn't know how to, my daughter's heart." Logan, humbled, shook his head. "I didn't do anything special." The general gave a small, rare smile. "You showed up. That's more than most ever do." In the weeks that followed, with the general now reassigned stateside, Aria remained a part of Logan and Tyler's world. And though none of them said it out loud, a new kind of family had begun. One built not by blood, but by bravery, healing, and the quiet strength of showing up when it mattered most.